Tom, Dick, and Harry. Once upon a time, there was a man named Tom who had a son named Dick, who was like any other normal boy. When Dick became a teenager, he began to spend too much time with his friends and started to neglect his studies. When Tom realized this, he tried to advise Dick about the importance of education and good character, but Dick did not change. He tried to use money as an incentive to make Dick change. Dick took the money but did not change. He scolded and even hit Dick at times, hoping this would frighten him. But this too did not work for long, though in front of his father, he would behave well. Finally, Tom became so fed up and angry that he gave up and said, "Learn it the hard way if you don't want to listen to me." Dick thought he knew what was best for himself and believed that his father's way was old-fashioned. He and his friends did all the things they thought were right. Time passed quickly, and before anyone realized it, Dick had become an adult. He began to look for a job. However, not having the necessary qualifications or good character, he was unable to find a good job. He tried many places but was rejected because he lacked the knowledge and skills needed for a well-paying job. Dick then began to regret not listening to his father's advice about the importance of education, but it was too late. With his father's help, he finally found a job that did not require a high level of education or skills. He worked as a security guard, but he was soon fired because of his indiscipline and rude behavior. His pride kept him angry for a while, but not having money or the ability to take responsibility for his life, he realized his past mistakes. With this painful realization, he searched for other jobs and, after much difficulty, found work as a laborer in a transportation company. Out of necessity, he learned to discipline himself and worked very hard. Even though life was difficult and people looked down on him, these experiences reminded him that education, skills, and good character were important for happiness and success. He admitted that being arrogant and careless in his youth was wrong, and whenever new problems came, his father's words echoed in his mind, "Learn it the hard way." He began attending evening classes to improve his education, although it was very difficult. By the time he finished work, he was tired and could not study well. In spite of this, he tried very hard and managed to gain some skills to apply for a better job. As the years passed, he married a girl from a village and had a son named Harry and 3 children in total. They were poor but had enough to make ends meet. When Harry was young, he was very obedient and helpful, just like other normal boys. But when he became a teenager, the same problem repeated itself. Harry, like his father before him, began to neglect his studies and spent most of his time with friends doing unproductive and sometimes even criminal activities. When Dick discovered that his son was avoiding his studies and mixing with bad company, he became frightened and wanted to save his son from making the same mistakes he had made. He tried to advise his son as much as possible, but it did not work. He used what little money he had, but that too didn't help. Like his father before him, he lost his patience and began to scold and sometimes even hit Harry. This only made things worse. Sometimes he became so angry and frustrated that he gave up and said, "Learn it the hard way." Dick realized that he was repeating the same mistakes his father had made. He became very worried, knowing that Harry could end up even worse. Times had changed, and getting a job was much more difficult. Harry's bad habits were worse than his own had been. Dick could not understand why Harry refused to change despite receiving so much love and many warnings about the consequences. He was confused and worried, but he was not prepared to give up. He went to his friends, manager, and religious leader for advice, and was told that they were facing the same problems with their children and didn't know what to do either. While searching for answers, Dick was shocked to find that almost every family, rich or poor, educated or uneducated, religious or non-religious, living in developed or developing countries, faced the same problems, some worse and some less. Children who were rich or good at studies also had other social problems such as drugs, alcohol, free sex, arrogance, rude behavior, and many other negative habits. Girls were also beginning to behave like boys, and in developed countries, the situation was even worse. No one seemed to know why or what to do. This made Dick even more worried. The problem was complex and widespread, not as simple as he had once thought. He had to continue working to support his family, but with the little time he had left, he continued searching for answers. He was not prepared to give up and do nothing.